Hi, my name is Peter Kittle, and I'm here to talk to you about Leadership 101. I've spent my entire career in education the past 30 years. I was a high school mathematics teacher. I spent 50 seasons as a head varsity coach, 4 in track, 21 in football, and 25 as a head basketball coach. I spent 15 years as a high school athletic director and just completed my first year as a high school principal. So as you can see, I've had many positions of leadership in my career in education. But my point today is that leadership is action, not position. That's a great quote by Donald McGannon, and I want to explain my feelings on that so that everyone understands that you don't need a position to be a leader. It's something that anyone can do. The first thing I think is key in leadership is to have a plan. Whatever you're trying to accomplish, I think you have to have that plan, that vision that you can share with the people that you are going to lead. That leadership might actually be just leading yourself as you look at these opportunities, but in most cases it's a situation where you have to convince some others of what you wanted to accomplish. Having that shared vision is really important as you look at what you want to try to accomplish. I used to use the analogy a lot when I coached football, that there are thousands of books written about the best football offense. And all of those books worked for somebody, or they wouldn't have written a book. The problem is we cannot all be reading from different books. If we're going to be successful, we need to be reading out of the same book. That's true in education as you look at the many initiatives or different techniques that a person can try to use in education. I think you have to decide what you're going to hang your hat on and what you're going to believe in, and that's step number one as you look at leadership, is to have a plan. Coach Dick Bennett gave a great analogy at a basketball clinic I was at one time, and he said a leader has a picture of what they think their team or organization or group should look like and accomplish. Your job as the leader is to try to get everybody else to see the same picture that you see. And I think that's a great idea of having that plan and being able to share that plan with others. Another key point is to try to surround yourself with great people. Leadership is not a sole or individual type thing. I think it's something that takes a lot of people to help you out. I've been extremely fortunate in my career, one, to have had some great leaders to work under, but also to work alongside some great people, whether they be assistant coaches or fellow teachers, that I thought provided me assistance in my leadership situations. I think that's an important thing for you to be successful. You have to value their opinion. You have to listen to what they have to say. And I think respect that they are going to have some differences of opinions. But in the end, I think it's important that you have that support and that loyalty from the people around you. Grant Taft, the head football coach at Baylor University a number of years ago, told a great story about loyalty. His assistant coaches had been bothering him to try to take a day out of the office and go and relax. They had a bye week, and they wanted him to take a day and go hunting. They knew some alumni that lived a little bit outside of town and had a great deal of property, and had always encouraged him to come up. And so they finally convinced him to go. So when they get there, Coach Taft says, I'll go up to the door and I'll just tell him what our plan is, and then I'll come back. And when he gets to the door, he knocks, and the people are elated to see him. They're excited. Coach Taft, we are so thrilled that you're here today, and you can use our property as often as you want. Feel free to come up. Our house is your house, and this place is all yours. And he said, well, thank you very much. We'll make sure we're out of here probably by about 3 or 4 this afternoon. And as he was heading to the door to leave, the gentleman says, oh, Coach Taft, can you do me one favor before you leave? And he turns back and says, well, sure, I can do anything for you. You see that old mule over there by the barn? That mule's been around our family for 25 years, and it is really ill and sick, and it needs to be put down, but I don't have the heart to do it. Could you do that for me? And Coach Taft says, well, I really don't want to. And the gentleman says, well, it would mean a lot if you could do that. So he says, okay. As he's walking back to the vehicle, he gets a plan, and he puts a stern look on his face, and he walks back to the car where his assistants are sitting, and they say, well, what's wrong? He said, that guy says we are the worst football coaches he's ever seen in his life. He can't believe that Baylor University still keeps us on staff and that we are able to be employed as poorly as we do. I'm so mad. And he reaches in the car and grabs out his gun, and he says, I think I'm going to shoot that mule. So he pulls up on the car and puts the mule in his sights, and bang, down drops the mule. And he sits there for a little bit trying to compose himself so that he doesn't laugh when he looks back in the car, and all of a sudden he hears bang, bang. And he turns his head around, and it's his assistant. He says, "Hey, I got 2 of his cows. Now let's get the heck out of here." That's a great example of loyalty. Maybe not the most loyal or the best loyalty in that situation, but that's the kind of passion and loyalty you have to have for people to be successful if you're going to be a great leader. A lot of times in that leadership role, you're also going to have to make some decisions about tough people or tough situations, and I think understanding the difference between respect and like is important in those situations. I talk to parents a lot about the difference between respecting and liking decisions, and I use them as an example. I always ask, is there any time as a parent that you make decisions that your son or daughter don't like, but you expect them to respect? Maybe it's the curfew time, you want them to be home, or that no, you can't go to your friend's house, and you expect them to respect those decisions even though they might not like them. I think that's important for you to try to illustrate to the people that you are leading, is understanding that there's decisions, even times that I have to make, that I don't like to make. But I hope they can respect those decisions, and more importantly, I hope you can respect yourself in those decision situations, that you will make the correct decision. It isn't always about things you're going to like. It's about living with respect and being able to handle that respect. Sometimes as a leader, because of that, you have to prepare to be a little bit lonely. Sometimes you're going to make those decisions that people don't like, but be comfortable and respect yourself in those decisions. Once in a while, those decisions don't work out, and you have to be prepared to handle failure. I think an important thing to remember is that a failure is an event. It is not a person. You will have things that don't work out the way you want them to. When I coach football, a lot of times I would talk to people about, I really don't run that play on first down to try to lose 3 yards. That wasn't the plan. But sometimes that is what happens. The exciting thing in that failure situation is I've got 25 seconds to try to come up with a solution, to forget about what happened and try to look for a solution to the problem and move on. And I think that's important for you to remember as you handle failure. When you get in those tough situations and you have the heat put on you and there's pressure, I think you want to look at this analogy. If you imagine a pot of boiling water and you put an egg in that boiling water and a carrot in that boiling water and a tea bag in that water, let's think about the 3 different things that would happen. When I put that egg in there, the egg before it's in that hot water, you know, the inside is soft and fluid, it kind of goes with the flow. But boy, you put it in the heat and it gets hard and stiff and really doesn't handle any movement anymore. Cracks in many cases, so we want to make sure we don't handle the heat like the egg. On the other hand, if you take that carrot was stiff and firm and really, you know, had some resolve, and you put that in the boiling water and it becomes wimpy and soft. Again, a situation that we don't want to fall in if we fall into the heat. But if you think about a tea bag, when you put that tea bag into that boiling water, it improves the water. It makes the situation better. It handles the heat because it can go with the flow a little bit and make the water into tea and improve those things. So I think as you think about that analogy, make sure that you don't look like an egg or look like a carrot, but you handle the heat like a tea bag. In the end, I think one of the most important things in leadership is that idea of reflection. I think it's important that you do look back at those tough situations, those tough decisions, and analyze or think about what you have accomplished or what you tried to accomplish and if you met that. And in the end, I think another important thing in leadership is you need to find some people whose opinion you can trust. If you're in a leadership position, there will be tons of people that will offer you opinions. I think it's important that you understand whose opinion you're going to value. And then the last thing about leadership is have a great attitude. Charles Swindoll has a great poem about attitude. If you've never read it, I think it's worth reading. But he has a line that I think is important to remember. In the end, he says, life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. I really think that's a great statement, except I would like to change Charles' last sentence just a little bit. And I would like to change it into 90% how I respond to it. I think being a great leader is being responsive. If you do it, look at the difference in medicines. If you react to a medicine, that's usually not a good thing. But if you respond to a medicine, that's a positive. Learn to be a responsive leader. Take that 90% and make it a responsive 90%, not a reactive one. In the end, leadership is not about position, it's about action. There's a great book out there that not many people have read by an author named Frosty Westerling. The book is titled Make the Big Time Where You Are. And Frosty, in the end, talks about that the big time is a state of mind. So whether you find yourself in that leadership position, in some illustrious, glorious position, or in another spot with just a couple of your friends making a decision, make sure you understand that that is the big time. As Frosty says, that big time is not a place, but a state of mind and an opportunity for you to lead. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a great day.